Jack and Mike had been inseparable since childhood. They grew up on the same street, attended the same schools, and spent nearly every day together. People in their neighborhood often joked that they were more like brothers than friends because wherever one went, the other followed. Jack was known for thinking carefully before acting. He rarely lost his temper and had a habit of noticing things others ignored. Mike was different. He was bold, confident, and always wanted attention. Despite their differences, their friendship survived every challenge throughout the years. By the time Jack turned 18 and Mike turned 19, they believed nothing could ever come between them. One weekend, both friends attended a birthday celebration hosted by a classmate. While talking among friends, they noticed a young woman enter the gathering. Her name was Leah. She greeted everyone politely, but her attention quickly settled on Jack after he helped her carry drinks to a table without being asked. "You're quieter than your friend," Leah said with a smile as she glanced at Mike joking loudly nearby. Jack laughed softly. "Mike likes being noticed more than I do." The conversation between them flowed naturally for the rest of the evening. Mike noticed it immediately. Every time he tried joining them, Leah's focus returned to Jack within seconds. At first, Mike ignored the uncomfortable feeling growing inside him. He told himself it was temporary. Later that night, after most guests had left, Mike approached Leah privately. "So, tell me honestly," he said confidently. "Between me and Jack, who do you like more?" Leah looked surprised by the question, but answered honestly. "Jack," she replied calmly. "He makes me feel comfortable." Mike forced a laugh to hide his disappointment. Fair enough. But while walking home later with Jack, his smile slowly disappeared. Jack happily talked about Leah without realizing every word felt like a knife to Mike. For the first time in his life, Mike felt jealous of his best friend. Over the following weeks, Leah and Jack became very close. They spent time together after school, shared long conversations, and quickly developed strong feelings for each other. Jack trusted Mike completely, so he openly shared every detail about the relationship. At first, Mike pretended to support them. "You finally found someone special," he told Jack one afternoon. But inside, bitterness continued growing. Every smile between Jack and Leah reminded Mike that he had been rejected. Instead of accepting the situation, he convinced himself that Jack had stolen the happiness that should have belonged to him. One evening, Mike invited Jack for a motorcycle ride outside town. "We haven't hung out alone in a while," Mike said. Jack agreed immediately because he still trusted him. Before leaving, however, Jack noticed Mike acting strangely around the motorcycle. Mike kept checking the wheels and avoiding eye contact. Jack's instincts told him something was wrong. While Mike stepped away briefly, Jack secretly inspected the bike. His face tightened when he discovered the brake line had been partially cut. Jack said nothing. During the ride, Mike suddenly accelerated toward a dangerous curve, expecting Jack to lose control. But Jack remained calm. Earlier, he had prepared a backup brake after discovering the damage. Mike looked shocked when Jack safely stopped the motorcycle. "What happened?" Mike asked nervously. Jack stared at him carefully. "That's exactly what I want to know." Mike quickly blamed the road and pretended it was an accident, but Jack no longer felt comfortable around him. For the first time, suspicion entered their friendship. Meanwhile, Mike grew even angrier because his plan had failed. Instead of feeling guilty, he became more determined. Jack could no longer ignore Mike's strange behavior. Small things continued happening around him. His locker at school was vandalized twice. Someone loosened the tires on his car. Anonymous messages warned him to stay away from Leah. Jack never accused Mike directly, but deep down he suspected the truth. Leah also started noticing changes. "Mike watches us too much," she admitted one evening. "Something about him feels different now." Jack tried calming her fears, but he secretly agreed. One afternoon, Mike invited Jack to an abandoned warehouse, claiming he needed help moving stolen electronics for quick money. The story immediately sounded suspicious to Jack because Mike had never been involved in anything criminal before. Still, Jack decided to go. Before leaving, he texted a trusted neighbor the location and told him to check in later if he stopped responding. When Jack arrived at the warehouse, He noticed fresh scratches near the entrance ceiling. His sharp instincts warned him again. Instead of walking through the main entrance, he entered through a side door. Seconds later, heavy metal pipes crashed down exactly where he would have stood. Mike stepped out from behind a wall in complete shock. "You're supposed to walk through the front," he shouted before realizing what he had accidentally revealed. Jack stared at him with disbelief. "Why are you doing this?" he demanded. Mike's face twisted with anger. "Because you take everything from me." Jack finally understood the truth. The friendship he trusted for years had become poisoned by jealousy. Mike stormed away before Jack could stop him. That night, Jack realized his best friend had truly become dangerous. After the warehouse incident, Jack avoided Mike completely. Leah begged him to report everything to the police, but Jack hesitated. Part of him still hoped Mike could change. "He's still my friend," Jack said quietly. Leah shook her head sadly. "A real friend doesn't try to kill you." Meanwhile, Mike's obsession became worse. He isolated himself from everyone and spent most of his time thinking about Jack and Leah. Instead of taking responsibility for his actions, he blamed Jack for ruining his life. One evening, Mike secretly followed Leah after work. Leah noticed someone behind her and quickly called Jack. "Mike is following me," she whispered nervously. Jack immediately drove toward her location while staying on the phone. By the time he arrived, Mike had disappeared into the darkness. The situation terrified Leah. "You can't protect him anymore," she told Jack firmly. "He needs help." Jack finally agreed to confront Mike one last time. The next day, he visited Mike's house alone. Mike opened the door with tired eyes and an angry expression. "You came to mock me?" he asked bitterly. "No," Jack replied calmly. "I came to save what's left of our friendship." For a moment, Mike almost softened. Years of memories flashed through his mind. But the mention of Leah immediately brought back his hatred. "She should have chosen me," Mike muttered. Jack sighed heavily. "Love isn't something you steal or force." Mike's anger exploded again. He accused Jack of always being better, smarter, and more respected. Jack realized jealousy had completely consumed him. Before leaving, Jack gave one final warning. "If you come near Leah again, I'll stop protecting you." Mike watched him leave with cold eyes. At that moment, he made the worst decision of his life. 2 days later, Leah suddenly vanished on her way home. Jack tried calling her repeatedly, but her phone remained off. Panic spread through him immediately. Then a message arrived from Mike. "If you want to see Leah alive again, come alone." Jack's hands trembled with anger, but he forced himself to stay calm. He studied the message carefully and quickly recognized clues pointing toward an abandoned factory outside town, a place where he and Mike used to play as children. Jack informed the same trusted neighbor before leaving. When he arrived at the factory, he searched quietly through the empty rooms until he finally found Leah tied to a chair. Her face showed fear, but she was unharmed. "Jack," she cried with relief. Mike stepped out holding a knife. "You finally understand pain now," he said coldly. Jack slowly approached him. "This isn't you, Mike." "Yes, it is," Mike shouted. "You took everything from me." Jack tried reasoning with him, reminding him of their childhood memories and everything they survived together. For a brief moment, Mike's expression weakened. But then Leah spoke. "You caused all this yourself," she said firmly. Mike's anger returned instantly. He rushed toward Jack with the knife, forcing Jack into a violent struggle. Chairs crashed around them as the former friends fought desperately inside the factory. Leah managed to free one hand and pushed a metal rod toward Jack to defend himself. The fight moved dangerously close to a broken staircase. Neither of them noticed how unstable it was becoming. The struggle between Jack and Mike grew more violent with every second. Years of friendship had turned into pure rage and desperation. Mike swung the knife wildly while shouting accusations. "You always win," he screamed. Jack blocked his attacks while trying not to seriously hurt him. "It doesn't have to end like this," Jack shouted back. But Mike refused to listen. During the fight, part of the damaged staircase collapsed beneath Mike's feet. He slipped suddenly and grabbed the broken railing to avoid falling. Jack immediately grabbed his arm. For a brief moment, everything became silent. Jack looked directly into Mike's eyes and said, "I'm trying to save you." Mike stared back with tears mixed with anger. Even while hanging above danger, his pride refused to accept help from the person he hated most. "You think you're better than me," Mike whispered bitterly. Jack tightened his grip.
No.
"I think you're my friend." But Mike's hatred had consumed him for too long. Instead of pulling himself upward, he violently pushed Jack away. The movement caused the remaining railing to snap completely. Mike fell from the staircase onto the concrete floor below. Jack and Leah rushed downstairs in horror. Mike was still breathing weakly when they reached him. Tears filled Jack's eyes despite everything that had happened. Mike looked at him one final time. "I ruined everything," he whispered painfully. Seconds later, he died. Jack stood frozen in shock while Leah held him tightly. The friendship that once seemed unbreakable had ended in tragedy. News of Mike's death spread quickly through the neighborhood. Most people were shocked because everyone had admired the friendship between the two young men for years. The police investigation soon uncovered everything. The damaged motorcycle, the warehouse trap, the threatening messages, and Leah's kidnapping exposed the truth about Mike's actions. Witnesses also confirmed Jack had repeatedly tried avoiding violence and protecting Mike despite the danger. Although Jack was cleared of wrongdoing, the emotional damage remained heavy. For weeks, he blamed himself. "Maybe I should have stopped him earlier," he told Leah quietly one night. Leah held his hand gently. "Mike made his own choices, Jack." Mike's parents struggled deeply with the truth about their son. They apologized to Jack for everything he suffered, even while mourning Mike's death. Jack also learned an important lesson. He realized that ignoring problems out of loyalty could sometimes make situations worse. He understood that true friendship required honesty and accountability, not silence. Meanwhile, Leah became stronger through the experience. Instead of allowing fear to control her, she encouraged Jack to move forward with his life. Slowly, the pain began healing. But nobody who knew Mike ever forgot how jealousy destroyed him. His story became a warning throughout the community about how unchecked resentment could ruin a person completely. Nearly a year after the tragedy, Jack's life looked very different. Although the memories still hurt, he refused to let the past destroy his future. Instead, he focused on becoming someone who could help others avoid the same mistakes. Jack began mentoring younger boys in his neighborhood. He spoke openly about anger, jealousy, friendship, and emotional control. Many teenagers respected him because they knew his advice came from real pain and experience. One afternoon, a young boy asked him, "Do you still miss Mike after everything he did?" Jack stayed silent for a moment before answering honestly. "Every day," he admitted, "because before jealousy changed him, he was my brother." Leah remained by Jack's side through every stage of healing. Their relationship became stronger because they survived the darkest chapter of their lives together. Over time, they built a peaceful future based on trust and honesty. Mike's fate served as the final lesson of the story. His jealousy cost him his friendship, his future, and ultimately his life. Every harmful decision he made pushed him closer toward destruction until there was no escape from the consequences. Jack, however, found peace because he chose patience, intelligence, and forgiveness instead of revenge. In the end, both men faced the results of their choices. One was destroyed by hatred. The other was saved by love and wisdom.